What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I'm your hostess, doing the mostest, Kibanshi, and we are here with possibly one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. And I'm talking both seasons. Season 2, Episode 3 of Brilliant Minds, titled The Pusher. This episode is so beautiful. Like, just talking about the story alone in the case that's happening, I love it so much. And for this to be the third episode being aired at this time, involving conversations surrounding the way that police officials treat people with mental illness or learning disabilities, the way that hospitals can sometimes like write people off who learn differently or communicate differently than what people would identify as normal. It was so good. But more than just that, the episode was just like, it answered a whole bunch of things. I'm gonna just say that. So there were some things that I was guessing at the beginning as I was watching, and as things were unfolding, I was like, I'm that girl. I'm that girl. Put me in the writer's room. Put me in a writer's room. V Main Davis, what can you do for me? Okay, I will be a writer assistant. I will get y'all coffee. Put me in the room. But just overall, the way that relationships are converging, the way that storylines are unfurling, in just the route that Brilliant Minds is taking this season, insane, incredible. I am so happy, and just knowing that this season is a full season order just makes it all even better. So let's get into the directing and all of the information of it all, and then we're about to jump into it. Okay. So the director is Rob Seidenglanz or Seidenglanz. The writers are Daniela Lamas and Greg Murray. Beautiful story. And the cinematographer is Stanley Fernandez Jr. What happened to my throat? Now let's talk about it, y'all. The opening of this episode was like mid key, scary as fuck. Like, they really drew you in. You had no idea like what was about to happen to this woman and what you were about to witness as an audience member. Like, it was really having me like curl my knees into my chest and just be like, what is about to go on? Like, the way that she was experiencing the symptoms and the way that they kind of position the camera and what's really going on behind her, it plays with perception. And I would just say, like, the moral of this episode is perception is everything, and what you perceive is what you see, and what you otherwise end up thinking that you know through your own experiences, through the way that you communicate, to the way that you receive communications. Like, this whole beginning of it was just super creative. It was super creative. And so just getting to the story of it all, when Brilliant Mind said like they're getting into more like psychological stuff and all these other things, like I would just think like one would think like, oh, okay, we're dealing with more psych patients, we'll get more Carol's storyline, maybe we'll be inside her office a little bit more. And it's not to say that they're not doing that, right? Carol has her job back, she's in the hospital, but she cannot make chief ever because of the incident that was reported, and we don't get to that. So that's a storyline that we were already invested in as we were finishing up season 1. So now that she's back, obviously it's taking more of like a psychological turn with the storylines. So we're going to include her and we're going to invest her, especially as a veteran of the hospital. It makes sense that you're like, okay, we'll be with Carol a little bit more. But what Brilliant Minds writers and just like the creators and what they're doing, it's more than like, oh, we're gonna have these patients who's having like mental breakdowns come in, and we'll get more of Carol. It's really just driving home like mental barriers, learning barriers, and this is outside of IQ or anything like that. We all communicate differently. We all receive things differently. We have like primary and secondary modes in which we are having a conversation. In this episode, while rooted in autism, it's very easy to just be like, this is an episode about autism and all these other things. But when you really look at how they are going about solving this problem, it's the communication of the body, it's communication of nonverbals, it's using objects in your communication as well to tell a complete story that is beyond words. And the thing that really connects us is, we have universal facial expressions that we make that, regardless of language, what pain looks like, disgust looks like, happiness looks like, what fear looks like, even if you can't speak that person's language. And so, because of that, we really get into the Dr. Markus of it all in this episode, because it's all about speaking universally to somebody who picks and chooses when they're going to use their voice. And in the case of Adam, we learned that he's not a non-speaking autistic human. He's just very selective, and fear and trust drives whether or not he's going to verbally communicate or not. And even people who can speak regularly or speak in a manner that we're all used to speaking, when you are afraid, you're going to not talk. And when you trust people, you're going to speak. And so it really brings like it just levels the playing field between autism and people who don't have autism, especially in the face where everybody is like up in arms, like, oh my god, like the vaccines are going to give my kids autism, the rabies shot is going to give my dog autism, like, oh my god, autism is just the devil's work. And so to have the storyline right now and level that playing field where it's just like, it doesn't matter what that person's learning skill is or their communication skill is, there's always a way to get to the truth of it all. And they did exactly that. And it ended up being this autistic, um, this autistic kid, a young adult, who basically solved the whole patient debacle in the first place. But I just love, like, how, again, we're still integrating neurology, neurosurgery, and all of these things in there. We still have the interns and the resident with Charlie Porter around and surrounding it, and really going through that checklist when patients come into the hospital and just ruling out so many different things, while also keeping the heart of the story, which is Dr. Oliver Wolf advocating for his patients and being the voice for his patients when they can't find the right words, especially when it came to the police getting involved. And I love the dialogue about how they said, the police are going to come, they're going to see his size, they're not going to care that he can't speak to them in the way that they speak to him. And you see that. They're handcuffing him, they're treating him like some dangerous criminal when he's sitting here with headphones on and some crayons. Like, the way that the public responds to what they don't understand, it was just beautifully portrayed here. And I hope that people watching this can really check their own internal biases and really run through a self checklist. And I hope that they saw themselves in Dr. Porter. I hope that they saw themselves in the police officers, because it's very easy to sit back and watch from the outside looking in and just say like what you will and won't do, because you're watching it from you're watching it from the rooftop. You have a bird's eye view, and you have knowledge that the people in the situation do not have. I mean, it's a whole, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And it's like, you're throwing stones at somebody else's glass house, but depending on where you're positioned within your own glass house, you might haul off and throw the stone and hit your own window because you're so busy in other people's business and you're so busy dissecting what's going on in somebody else's life that you have now gained like peripheral blindness to your own situations. And so I just really hope that seeing the way that Dr. Porter was just kind of trying to doctor his way through it, but he's doctoring with biases and willing to write this patient off and not even listen to his superiors, right? We already know he has a whole complex with these interns, but not even listening to his superiors on learning how to be empathetic and just have a little patience. I hope that people saw their lack of patience in him. I hope they saw their lack of compassion through him. I hope when they was like, oh, Dr. Porter should have never did that. I hope their kid or their spouse or whomever was sitting on the couch watching this with them and been like, but you did that last week. Like something to point out how y'all are awful. And at the end of the day, like this is a fictional storyline. It's not based on any real life person or situations. Entertainment is here to get us to have a conversation. Sometimes those conversations is about a bag of chips, and sometimes those conversations are about humans, being pieces of shit. And so, just great episode. And then I definitely want to highlight Liam Galloway, who played Adam. Incredible performance. I was so moved, y'all. In my older age, I'm getting a lot more emotional and more so like tears of joy. Like things are moving me to like happiness. Like things are touching my heart. Okay, it's reaching down into the depths. And that performance, stellar. Stole the show, like stole the entire episode. And you could just see the cast, the blocking and the positioning of all the characters. Like on set, they let the story of autism and what it's like to live with autism, not only through him, but through another character in the show as well, who oh my God, it was like the spectrum of love, or love on the spectrum. Um, and the story of that shined, which means, of course, you're getting a little bit more into Dr. Markus and his mirror touch syndrome, because he has a son who is autistic. And so just seeing the way that everything was written, the main characters almost became supporting cast members to Adam in the story itself. And just like, I don't know, submitted for some awards or something, because it just speaks about more than autism, even though that was the medium in which plenty of messages were sent. um incredible story, incredible performance. I could not even review this episode or give my thoughts or do any of my jokey joke stuff without really highlighting the strength of what this episode has done in the face of just humanity being at stake. So shout out to everybody. Shout out. Now, getting back to my regularly scheduled program, Oliver, please, why are you walking around the hospital talking about some ding dong, the witch is retired? Sir, he was that kid who stepped on a crack so he could break his mama back. Because what are we doing? What are we doing, sir? I need you to grow up. And I need you to grow up quick, fast, and in a hurry. But surprisingly, in this episode, Oliver, there was like a step back, but I'm going to step back on him until y'all know. But I'm going to step back on him because in this episode, Kinney, she is Is this that episode? Yeah. Kinney is hell bent on trying to figure out who told on Carol. And it really comes up in this episode because Carol gets into an argument with Oliver. He's like, hey, lie to the cops. Tell them we got some more work up to do. She was like, hey, listen, I just got my job back and I can't even advance. So love you lots. Not about to do anything. Like I'm already walking on eggshells. Like, and your mother told me to look out for you. I already can't make chief, so I can't protect you and your job, but I can at least try to keep my job to keep an eye on you and make sure that you don't be doing no stupid shit. And so it really comes out, and you can just see like she's battling with doing what she loves and accepting that position back, knowing that she's already hit her glass ceiling. And Kinney is worried about everybody else's brain and mental problems and emotional problems but her own. So what does she do? What I said about glass houses, she minding everybody else's business. And she's just trying to go on this hunt. So she's having these conversations, of course, with Dana. She's talking about, nobody says anything about Dr. Wolf. He's taking drugs, he's kidnapped patients, he's done all these other things, and nobody says anything. But this one black woman does something, and it's, a morally gray area, but who else would make a different decision if they were under the same amount of pressures? And it seems like it was a targeted event, or at least something extremely stereotypical and biased towards women, and then particularly women of color. Already I was like, Dana said something. And so at one point Wolf finds out that Kinney is on this hunt, and he overhears her talking about it, and Dana ends up walking off. And he was like, listen, between you and me, I'm on the same page. Like, I should have been lost my job. Matter of fact, he lost all his other jobs. So in this respect, you really get the hint that Oliver has it too. Like maybe not in the front of his mind, but it's definitely not in the back of his mind. At who stabbed his best friend in the back. So of course it comes out as Dana, and it's Dana right away because she can't even really engage in conversation in the style of banter that she normally does with Kinney. And when it finally comes out, she's like, okay, well, I'll do it again. And let me look at my notes. Hold on. So she's like, I would do it all over again. And she's like, well, I have my reasons and all these other things. And it's like, okay, all the audience can surmise at this point is that you did it in retaliation of Carol going off on y'all by talking to that girl. One, you did it in retaliation to protect yourself because Carol had you look up the information, which that is likely the reason, even though she doesn't tell Kinney the reason at all. It would make sense that that is why she did it. Okay. Now, for me, where people be bothering me at is not what they do, it's how they're moving. You sat here with your best friend / your roomie, going through all of these things, vaguely agreeing with her, and then coming out about it, and then being smug and defensive about it. Stand 10 toes down. Don't be like, oh, and I would do it again, but then bitch out on it. Like, no, stand 10 toes down. If you're going to tell her that you did it, why? Why? If this is something that you would do over and over and over again because for whatever moral and ethical reasons, then why wouldn't you be able to share that? Yes, she may be upset that she was literally going around this whole fucking hospital like goddamn a detective, and you led her on. But I feel like Kinney, if they had a conversation about this and we got to the truth of it all, then she would have said something, which makes me think that Dana has some other underlying reason on why she did that. And it sucks because up until this point, Dana's been a girl's girl. So how does the audience feel about this decision now? How do we feel? What say you? Put it in the comments. I would love to know because we're now getting a fracture of all of these other characters. Season one was all about Oliver being a mess, Carol being a mess. But now we're really digging into the mess of the interns. And it's not to say that we didn't get a little bit of it before. Um, but everything ain't all good in the hood. Everything ain't all good in the hood. And y'all know what it is. The moment you get a fissure in the foundation, once you get that crack, everything's fair game. So at this point, just that unity is not there, that trust is not there. But I will applaud Kinney for she's doing what she can, and she's taking the time to process the information, especially because they throw a welcome back party for Carol. And, you know, Wolf is like, this is your home, like, welcome home. We couldn't run this hospital without you. And Ericka just kind of looks towards Dana, and Dana looking real guilty. But it is what it is. Now, it's also the natural course of friendship. So do I think their friendship is going to be over? No. But there are some things to unpack here. And again, like I said, it's not even necessarily that she reported her. It's that she didn't stand on business for real, for real. And I don't like that. So that's my thing with Dana Danes. Okay. That's my thing. Now, something that is very small, um, not necessarily story related, and we don't really get a lot of it, but I really like that Jacob is doing his rotation directly in the ER and directly under Dr. Thorne. Having this type of mentor mentee relationship, I think, is really good for Jacob. And also, just both of them being Black and then just having similar backgrounds, there's just a level of connection, there's just a level of familiarity. And again, going back into communications, a way to communicate. And Black people communicate universally, right? Again, across language barriers. Like we know what we're saying without necessarily saying things. And so you really see a lot of boost of confidence, and you don't see a lot of that questioning in Jacob in this season that you saw in the first season. And now that he's kind of not around Kinney, who was always jumping at all of the cases, always wanted to be in the mix, always wanted to please um, Oliver, you get to see him shine as a doctor. And we know that, you know, his own father doesn't like that he took this route because he was looking for him to get into the NFL. We're gonna get on that. When we get more Jacob story, we're gonna get on that. But in this, he has a Black man who is pouring into him and giving him positive feedback and has a belief and a confidence in him. And so you can just see it in Jacob's actions. And so while it is brief and we've only seen him just a couple of times in these first 3 episodes, you can see that it has a huge impact on his character. Whose video stopped recording at 24 minutes and 15 seconds because they ran out of storage? Me. I am fighting a lot of things right now. Monday is Mondaying. I don't remember where I left off. I'm pretty sure I was talking about Jacob, but I already finished that whole video. I finished that whole video and didn't know it because I'm recording on my phone right now because I don't have my original setup, as y'all can see. I'm already battling through the frustration of that and not being able to see when my recording stops because I'm using a phone because I don't have any other means of recording right now because my fucking laptop is not working. Okay, let's see if I can remember everything else that I was talking about and wrap this up, I guess. So I left off with Jacob, and basically, I'm just really liking the fact that him working with Dr. Thorne is a boost of confidence that he's not necessarily getting at home, especially because we know his own dad doesn't agree with him being a doctor because he had his all his hopes and dreams set on him becoming an NFL player. So loving what that is, and I really hope to see more of that relationship as we go through each intern and them trying to figure out like what they want to do with their lives, what types of doctors they want to be, if this is their calling in the first place. Because you really see with like Dana and Ericka, their storylines are kind of unfolding in a way where it's like, I get you may want to save people, and this was like a childhood dream of yours, but can you actually handle the pressure? And that comes out in Dana's relationship with Katie and the whole situation in which Katie saved the lady on the train. And at first, it comes off as like a jealousy a little bit, but halfway through the story, you can just see, especially through the performances and the acting, that it's just like, okay, Dana is having some type of like PTSD situation going on, and you're thinking it's her sister. And she eventually says it's her sister, but there's just something else that I feel is underlying there because two of the cases are, they're like related, but they're not related. And the way that Dana handled this was so immature, um, and just really childish on how it was. I'm glad we got to the communication of it all. Again, communication is like that thing. It's that gift wrap over, like it's the wrapping paper over the gift of this episode. And I'm glad we got there. But again, speaking of that communication, what you say and how people receive it, everybody in this episode is either falling towards each other or falling out or has some type of friction between them. Carol and Oliver a little bit, Oliver and Josh, Dana and Katie, Dana and Ericka, Charlie and everybody the fuck else. Dr. Thorne and Oliver, like it's just really all over the place. In how they were able to capture that and portray that as a backdrop to the main story that I talked about in the beginning of autism was just absolutely incredible. And this just speaks to the performance, it speaks to the writing, and it speaks to the direction. Because even the direction of this season is so different than season one. It's more than we're taking a psychological approach to the situation. It's the mood and the feel and the vibe of it all. And you really get to see as well, like the supporting characters kind of stepping up to the plate, and you're watching the lead actors kind of step back and create the space for their supporting cast in the ensemble to shine. And they're really rising to the occasion on that level. But speaking of rising to occasions, Josh has been named the interim chief medical officer. What else is rising to an occasion? My fucking attitude. Because NBC, we've been waiting 26 years for Olivia and Elliot to share a freaking kiss. And here you go, episode 3 in season 2 of a show with my beloveds, and you put them in an impossible situation in which they're going to get an HR complaint because he cannot sleep with Oliver anymore at this juncture. I don't care that they're like in limbo or whatever. What are we doing? I only have but 3 relationships on different shows that I care about. And 2 of those couples are vampires. This is all I got. My only human relationship that I have a connection with, and you go and you do this. Y'all must hate me, like personally, me, personally. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. So there's that. There's I don't even really have nothing. I cannot believe that they did that. I can't believe they did that to us. I just feel like This is a personal attack on my mental health. This is a personal attack on my mental health. Not only today, but like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I can't. I can't. I'm not even gonna get back into it because I wasn't like super hot, but I'm not even gonna get back into it. And honestly, because I do this, I don't edit. I don't do anything. If you see any type of edit, it's literally because I probably stood up to check. Like I earlier, I just stood up to check to make sure that it was still recording, and so I just jumped right back in. I don't edit at all. I have no idea what I said before. I was literally possessed by the NBC demon that is threatening to undo me. But with everything that's going on, let's get into the thoughts of it all. I'm pretty sure I already talked about Dana reporting Carol. Pretty sure I definitely talked about Adam and just Liam Galloway in his performance in here. Um, but I really want to sit in the relationships of it all, but more specifically, Carol and Dr. Thorne. Y'all see the chemistry. Y'all see the vibes. I need my black women to be spoiled. I need them to be living a life of luxury on TV. Okay, like if you look at black women in real life, they have really taken self care to the extreme. Like we're not accepting anything less than what we're gonna do for ourselves. And if you cannot do it, it's fine because we're protecting our peace and we're doing it for us. And Carol is dressing up and going outside. The body is bodying. Okay, she looks good. The outfits are bomb. The hair is laid. Skin is clear. Nails are on point. And she deserves. And I don't care. It doesn't need to end in a marriage. We don't need to do none of that, but we just need to have a good time. And I just feel like, an ER doc and a psychiatrist, hello, you can't get two more volatile doctoral positions to be in some type of situationship with each other. Listen, I didn't say he needed to put a ring on her finger, and I'm not saying that a successful woman can't be above just getting her rocks off. Like sometimes you just need to scratch an itch, and she been itching for a very long time, and I'm gonna need in the next few episodes. Like I need to grow this. Like we need to water this seed. We need to water this seed so the rose can blossom. Y'all know the rose. Yeah, we need to do that. But overall, I'm gonna end all of my thoughts on that. We're gonna end it on a positive note. Yeah, because I can't remember anything else that I said. But also, I do want to say like um, the performers are performing, the writers are writing, the directors are directing. Like everybody is doing what they're supposed to do in just 3 episodes. These 3 episodes are insane. They're doing a lot. I love the direction that this is going, and I don't know if this was captured before my phone like stopped recording on me, but I do wonder if it's the same showrunner as season 1 because it just feels a lot different. But I wonder. Oh no, I don't think so. I'm like, I wonder if whoever wrote episode 7 in season 1 co-wrote on this episode as well. I don't know. It was just super emotionally impactful, and it felt familiar while also feeling new and fresh and right on par with the themes of season 2. So with that, we're gonna wrap up this episode, season 2, episode 3, The Pusher, on Brilliant Minds on NBC. Let me check this one more time before I say the rest of what I want to say. Okay, we in that thing. We in that thing. This ain't green screen, so I could probably just get up and sit back down. So in this day that is threatening to make me yank all of these braids out, we hit 1 million viewers. My baby, my podcast is 15 months old, okay? 15 months. It ain't got no kneecaps. its neck just started getting strong enough to hold up his big ass head. Okay, we're barely walking. Okay, we're still falling a little bit and we're crawling around. The skull is still soft. We still got that soft spot in our heads, y'all. Like, that is how young this podcast is. And yet, a million people, whether they hate me, want to cuss me out, or whatever, came here and listened to me talk to myself, thus talking to y'all, witnessing frustrations, raw, unfiltered, watched me start at the beginning, making hella mistakes, watching me grow in the tone and my delivery and still making mistakes. I've come on here with the flu. I have 3 finals this week, sat in a 3-hour Zoom class before sitting down to do this. While being up all night watching it and taking my notes so that I can sit here and talk to y'all about this. I go to work. I have 3 dogs. Like, it's just a lot going on. And to still be able to love this so much, to be able to battle through life and all the things that I just have going on personally, it's been a joy. And I still haven't even wrapped my mind about the fact that I have over 1,000 subscribers, yet like let alone a million people have come here and was like, who is this girl? What is she talking about? So we're gonna find a way to celebrate, but I gotta get through fall semester first, y'all. I gotta get through fall semester. I'm in 3 classes. I got one more starting next week. Give me a second. But like I said before, I'm excited. Give me to the end of November. We're gonna have a new setup. I'm already not in the setup that I want to be in, so like disruption is like setting a blaze in my chest because I'm not surrounded by my vibe just yet while experiencing some of these things. And God knew to show me that we hit 1 million today because he was like, girl, the universe ain't done fucking with you yet, so let me throw you a bone. So yeah, we hit 1 million, y'all. We hit 1 million. A milli, a milli, a milli, a milli, a milli. Let me stop playing before this phone fucking do whatever. So with that, that's gonna wrap up this podcast episode, y'all. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen, make sure you share that Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can also find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I post about film and TV news and updates. And I've also linked my written publication on there via Substack, where I will post images from an article that I did, and you can go to the link in the bio to read the full write-up, because there I am also posting reviews on things that I may or may not talk about on the platform. Another platform where I post reviews that I don't talk about on this podcast is on TikTok at She. And you can also find me on Twitter, where I'm talking about books, movies, TV, music, shoes, clothes, events. It don't even matter. I just talk about everything over on Twitter, and you can find me in there. But instead of ending on a frustrated note, again, just want to say thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for telling a friend to tell a friend, all the shares, all the likes. I'm very grateful. I'm very elated. And I am terrible at planning like celebrations and stuff for myself, or even acknowledging wins sometimes. So I'm going to think hard. Maybe we'll do something for like New Year's Eve. Maybe I'll do something like that, because not everybody going outside. And honestly, are we going outside in this climate? Exactly. So thank you, and I'll catch y'all in the next episode.